This is Kev Millar from the 2004 World Champion Boston Red Sox, and you're listening to Boston's Big Three podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Boston's Big Three, presented by Ride the Wave Media. This is episode 55. Today, we are sponsored by Pete's Pop. Pete's Pop, located on 151 Benefit Street in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Pete's Pop has the world's most exotic chips, candy, and soda under one roof. Check out their Instagram at Pete's Pop. That's PETEZPOP for the wide selection or place an online order. Pete's Pop hooked me up with some Big League Chew. Haven't had this thing in a long ass time, so I appreciate that, Pete's Pop. Make sure you check out Are You Smarter Than Ride the Wave Media? They are a major sponsor over there. I know Team Goat Milk looked pretty good round one. You make sure you check out episode 1, a little cheating scandal as well too. Won't have any spoilers out there, but make sure you check out YouTube. Are You Smarter
I got a question for you, Babs.
Go ahead.
There has been some speculation and been some crazy happenings in terms of this game show. Are we going to discuss the drama that occurred after said scandal in episode 1?
We already discussed the Jameson situation on the last episode, and I went absolutely nuts about him for 20 minutes. And again, you guys saw it all in the chat, and I threw it out there. And now that I can hear your opinions, what do you think about Jameson? Just real quick.
Yeah, absolutely no respect for that. I mean, I think he just wasn't taking it seriously, and that's a whole different thing. But then he started making excuses for it. Kept digging his hole deeper and deeper. Put down the shovel, dude. I mean, if you guys saw the group chat, it was kind of embarrassing at a certain point, where he was just saying so many of the wrong answers to the questions we were asking him, and just getting worse and worse to the point where he felt the environment was quote unquote toxic. It wasn't toxic, dude. You just dug yourself a huge hole, and everybody was roasting you for it, which you deserve to be roasted for.
You should have just accepted what it is. And like I said the last time in the last episode, just accept your punishment and move on. Dan Shea did that many, many moons ago, and he came right on here and he went toe-to-toe with me. And it was awesome content. And even Tyler even said it. We would have had him on for the entire show, but that's his loss. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to be a little bit quicker today. Today, we're talking about the 2020 NFL schedule, more so the New England Patriots schedule. It's finally been released after all the speculation. Oh, they're going to be playing the NFC West to start the first 4 weeks. Oh, they're going to be pushing the season back. Doesn't matter what it is. We have all 16 games ready to go. What we're going to do today, we're going to go around the table. We're going to talk each game and break it down. And now, for a disclaimer out there, we're pretending, COVID-19 is going on right now. There's a lot of unknown. Will there fans be in the stands at all this season? I truly believe that fans make a huge difference, especially for home field advantage, whether you're at Gillette Stadium, whether you're in Philadelphia for the Eagles game, whether you're in Kansas City or Seattle. But the way we're going to be talking today as if the season's very normal, and that's what we're expecting in September, and that's the way we're doing it right now today. It's May. Things are going to obviously change, and we can update it when the times do change. That's how we're going to go. We're going to start it off with myself. We also have Jay the Pats fan on here today down in Tampa, Florida. Joe Stafford, of course, he just talked a little bit there, our NFL expert. And all the way from Australia, the guy who was supposed to be on here 2 episodes ago, and we just struggled to get him on again. But he's here. He woke up. It's already Sunday. He's living in the future right now. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day it is. We got Matt Gordon over here on the show as well. Guys, this is how we're going to handle it, and anybody listening out there or watching. We're going to start off with week 1. I'll do my speech. We'll toss it over to Matt Gordon to Jay the Pats fan, Jay the Pats fan to Joe Stafford. Joe Stafford can end us out for each week. Anybody can jump in at any time if you want to talk about it. And at the end of this as well, too, we'll go through all 17 weeks of the NFL just for the Patriots, and then we'll have a free form at the end if you want to talk about any other games that you see on the schedule that's interesting you. You guys ready to go? Awesome. We're going to start week 1, September. It's kickoff. Week 1, 2020, September 13th, the Patriots open up at home against the Miami Dolphins. This is what I did. I made notes. I wrote notes for every single game. We'll throw this together, myself and Joe Stafford. We'll put that out there in an article. I'm going to read off of my notes because I wrote this at 3 a.m. And here we go. So Miami Dolphins come into Gillette Stadium. The Miami Dolphins just acquired Tua in the NFL draft. Fitzpatrick's most likely going to be the starter week 1. And don't forget Josh Rosen is there as a backup as well, too. Kyle Van Noy, Landon Roberts was added to the team in the offseason for the Miami Dolphins. Eric Rowe, former Patriot, coming up here as well. As people remember, the Dolphins did beat the Pats 27-24 in Week 17, and Fitz Magic was on fire, 320 yards, 1 pass touchdown, 1 rush touchdown. The Pats completely blew it in the two-minute drill on defense. This is Stidham's first start. It's a must-win for him and for the Patriots to start the season on the right foot to make sure that they have the fan attraction and be backed up by their own fans. You can already tell right now when the schedule got released, fans don't believe in this team at all. A lot of fans think it's going to be a 500 or under 500 team. You need to get off on the right foot because you don't want to start the season 0-2 because we know what the game is next week. Doesn't matter if they start 0-2 because in 2001 they went 0-2 and they still won the Super Bowl. Miami is 3-2 against New England in the last 5 games. New England 7-6 in the last 13 games against Miami. So it ain't going to be an easy one. It's not a layup, but you don't sleep on the Pats defense to start the season. I see that the Pats defense is going to have a very similar run like they did last year before they fell apart to start the season. I'm picking the New England Patriots to win this game. Matt Gordon, over to you.
I don't think Fitzmagic's going to start. I think you're going to see that the Dolphins are going to throw a smokescreen out. They're not going to announce Tua's going to be starting, but I think it's in their best interest to have Tua start that first game, throw a little curveball at Belichick and that defense. But I think we drafted speed because we anticipated that we were going to be facing all these scrambling quarterbacks. So I don't think the defense is going to be a problem. It's going to be more Stidham and how Stidham handles being a first start. Like you said, Miami's always a tough team. It's always a layup. I think it's a trap game. I don't think it's 100% we're going to win, just like you said. But yeah, I mean, I think and I hope the Pats win, and I think they will win. But I think Miami, it can't be taken lightly in that first game. Week 1's always you've got to set the tone for the season, and if they come out and they get blown out, it's not going to be a good year. So we've got to set the tone, and I think they'll get the win. But I don't think it'll be a comfortable win. They'll be still working out the kinks.
I just want to join in and add to that. I have no idea what's happening right now. I'm so mesmerized by Matt's accent right now that I got butterflies floating around. That's just the most beautiful sounding man that I've heard in quite some time. But no, this is a big game. Stidham's first game, and it's weird because it's just the first week of the season, and it's going to be his first career start. But I feel like this is going to say a lot about the kid. What kind of composure he has. There's a big difference between coming in for your first NFL start and being your second year, whatever. I mean, that happens all the time. But this guy's replacing a legend. He's replacing the GOAT, and we're going to learn a lot about this guy's moxie immediately. We got an interdivisional game. Miami's going to come in. They're trying to take over the AFC East, so they're going to come in hot, and they're going to see this as a game to steal from us. We've 20 years that we've just been whooping them. You can, like you said, you can have your analytics that say, 7-6 in the last 13 or whatever, but hey, we're like 19 for 20 when it comes for titles and rings, and that's what matters. So they're going to come in hot. I disagree, Matt. I don't think they're going to have Tua starting. I just think it's too early for him. You don't want to throw him into the fire that soon. He's there, if all things go bad, honestly. I think if Miami sees their season, going down the trash chute, then you throw in the kid and see what he's got. But I just don't see him as a week 1 starter. But that's just my interpretation of what I see the Miami Dolphins doing. But we got Flores down there, and he knows us and front and back, and he's going to have a good game plan for us. You got all season to prepare for that 1 week, and it's going to be a dogfight. And I do see us winning. I don't see Stidham being a big part of that win. I see him being a game manager. I do see Sony Michel stepping up this year. I see Sony Michel being a big part of our offense. I see N'Keal Harry being a big part of our offense, but in kind of a smaller role, more of a not a lot of catches, but a lot more important catches, a lot more third down catches and things like that to extend drives when needed. But it's weird. It's a week 1 game that I've been more excited for this than I have been in a long time because it's something different. We've gone into every season with it sounds weird, but like, oh, I hope we win the Super Bowl this year, blah, 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 blah. But it's been 2 decades of hoping we win the Super Bowl and expecting to win the Super Bowl. And it's exciting and refreshing going in with a different mindset and seeing what these kids got. And I got big hopes, but it's going to be fun.
This is an interesting game for me to start the season off for a number of reasons here. Number one, obviously the Flores connection. He knows your team well. He's in this organization for a long time. He understands how you operate your team, how you operate your defense and your offense. So he has a good feel of how Bill expects to attack his team. Another thing, they added a ton of guys on the defensive side. Byron Jones was probably the marquee signing of the offseason in a lot of ways. They added that secondary. They added already Xavier Howard down there. Then they added a guy like Kyle Van Noy, who was in the system for a long time, made the Boogeymen who they were a lot of times last year. They got Landon Roberts, who played a pivotal role for us on both offense and defense. He comes in with knowledge of both sides of the ball now. And they made a ton of other acquisitions that were just unbelievable. Their front seven's really revamped. They're looking like a true force in this AFC East. I agree with Matt that it's a trap game. I really don't think people understand that the Patriots are one of the worst September teams in football historically. We're not good in September, and that's fine because we're good in January and February. That's all I care about. But speaking to September and week 1, we're not historically a good team. And Ryan Fitzpatrick might be the best September quarterback of all time. He has to play his best football within the first 2-3 weeks of the season, then falls off. And unfortunately, we fall in that roundhouse. Matt, I disagree with you 100%. I do not think Tua starts the game. I don't think he sniffs starting this game week 1. Injury history going to pile up. Flores wants to go with an established guy first, quote unquote established with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But a guy he trusts, a guy he already knows how to work his system. You saw it last year. Miami started to take that run towards the end of the season when Devontae Parker absolutely torched Stephon Gilmore in embarrassing fashion, really, even at home. So you have this game coming in. I just think it's a trap game. I do think we get the win, not an easy win by any standards. 3-point game or maybe just a touchdown game. Stidham, in terms of this game, I think he's more of a game manager, like you said, Jay. But the hard part about this game is because of the knowledge that Van Noy brings in, because of how Flores knows how you run your team, because of how Landon Roberts knows how you run your offense. I have a feeling that Michelle won't be effective in this game, especially because they're going to stack the box because they're going to challenge Stidham, try to make Stidham win the game. And it's going to come down to whether or not he can produce in those red zone opportunities, in those third and longs, in those toss-up balls to see if he actually has it or not. And week 1's going to be a tough test for him. I think we get the win probably 20-17.
I just look at it too. Sour taste in your mouth. You lost these guys week 17. Anybody that's sticking around that was on this team last year, this is one that you want to get right out the gate and kind of rebound. And you're going to notice that in a lot of these games that they've lost to some of these teams last year. And hopefully they have that motivation going forward. Week 2, Patriots. This is September 20th. They're traveling out to Seattle. Seattle Seahawks for Sunday Night Football, 8:20 kickoff. I'm saying this right now. My pick for the Super Bowl champions in 2020 is the Seattle Seahawks. I think Russell Wilson will get his 3rd Super Bowl appearance, win his 2nd one before his career is over, cementing a Hall of Fame career for Russell Wilson. I just think that's just my gut feeling. I'm just going to go with Seattle this year. I think they're due for a run. Seattle's one of the toughest places to play. You obviously, this is the thing we talked about earlier, the disclaimer. If they do have the fans in the stands there, that's going to be a tough test for Stidham and an early test to start his young career. I think that Stidham will hold his own in this game, but he'll have a costly turnover and a turnover that will end up having Seattle win by like a 4-point margin. Because I still believe that this defense and the Pats defense can still try to contain some of Seattle. Things that in terms of Stidham too, I think that even though he has a costly turnover, it kind of, and hopefully the Pats are 1-1 because they're going to lose this game. People in New England and all around are like, okay, Stidham is actually not that bad. We just got to give him more time. You got to look at Seattle side. They have Greg Olsen, Luke Wilson. You got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Wilson himself that can move. That offense can move around. It will be another test for the Patriots defense. New England's 3-2 against Seattle dating back to 2001, one of those wins being Super Bowl 49. I thought this was just an interesting stat I threw in here. From 1986 to 1993, New England lost 6 out of 7 games against Seattle, and all those games were in Foxborough. And they didn't play each other again until 2001. Just thought it was interesting. Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick. You know it's going to be a good game, Sunday Night Football. What do you got, Matt Gordon?
Like you said, we're talking about this as if there is fans in the stadium. I'm going to tell everyone listening, I was in that Seattle stadium last year, and it is loud. And that is going to be a problem for a first-year quarterback. I know Stidham's in his second year, but it's his first year starting. That's going to be very difficult if it is very loud. Seattle are one of my favorite teams to watch outside of New England. So they love to play catch-up for some weird reason. They always go down, and then they make a miraculous comeback and win by 3. It's very frustrating to watch if you're a Seattle fan. So I could see the game going that way. I can see our speed on the front, getting past their O-line and making Russ move around, which he's very good at. But without their run game, they're not going to be able to do much. So I do think it's going to be another close one just because of the way Seattle plays football all the time. But it's either going to be Stidham makes a statement and we're 2-0 and people are like, all right, this kid's the real deal, or we lose the game and like Bab said, it's 1-1. Some people realize, all right, he's a decent quarterback and get the job done, but he just is early on in his season. So my prediction is that we lose, but I think it is winnable.
So I honestly, I feel bad saying this. I think we're going to get destroyed this game. I just don't see us being able to stop Russell Wilson. I'm with you, Babs. I think this team's ready to explode. I think they're ready to make that Super Bowl run. And, you know, we have a lot of younger players on our front seven. And I just see Russell just, you know, taking those 2 to 3 extra seconds, whether he's got to escape the pocket or slide up a little bit and shimmy in the pocket, just waiting for guys to get open and just honestly just picking us apart, unfortunately. As far as like Stidham goes, if there is a crowd in Seattle, I mean, I know the guy played in the SEC, but it's different up there. And I don't see him in a second professional start being able to handle the noise. You know, I mean, Brady struggled with it, 5 years ago, whatever that was. It's just, it's a setting that doesn't make it easy for teams to come into that house and win a game. And, you know, like it or not, we're not that upper echelon team anymore that can go into difficult settings on the road and pull out victories. So, I mean, I'm rooting for us, obviously. I just don't see it happening. That being said, if I had to imagine a world in which we start 2-0 with Stidham, I mean, it's going to blow up. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be about the system and Belichick and God knows what happens in Brady's
Especially
first 2 games
in Seattle
and Tampa. You know, can you imagine a world where Stidham starts 2-0 with a win at Seattle and Brady's 1-1 or 0-2? You know, you're going to start talking about, you know, people are going to start talking about Brady's legacy and was it all Belichick and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. But, you know, it's weird. I would almost wish for Stidham's future to lose this game in a tough fashion because, like, if he starts 2-0, people are going to just annoy him. And they're going to put so much pressure on the kid because he's going to think, like, oh, I'm the god and I got this and I'm just going to fall right in line with what Tom Brady did. I'm going to win 5 or 6 Super Bowls in my next 20 years. And you know, obviously that's not going to happen. But it's going to be a fun game. It's going to tell us a lot about our team. And it's one of those games that I'm glad is happening in the beginning of the season and not week 13 or 14.
I'm 100% with you on that part. I don't think we could take a loss like this week 13 or 14. And yes, I say loss. This isn't a game. I think this is an absolute real shit show, to be frank with you. A couple of seasons ago, I was at the game when Russell Wilson came into Gillette and beat us in clutch time in the last couple of seconds. Phenomenal game. Russell Wilson, I have a lot of respect for the guy. I think he's been a top 3 quarterback in this league for a long time. I've been high on him for a very, very long time. Does a lot of great stuff well and doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. And that's the problem with having a young defense is they're prone to making mistakes, especially with guys that are improvisers like Russell Wilson. They makes them get out of their zone coverage, makes them get out of their man coverage, just confuses the hell out of them. And that's where Russell Wilson makes his bread and butter. If Russell Wilson can carve up established defense like we had a couple years ago with CJ Procise, he'll have no problem doing it this year with Jarrett Stidham on offense on the opposite side and having just unlimited time to make his mark. The X factor for me in this game is how Stephon Gilmore handles DK Metcalf. Because you saw it last year, Devontae Parker, like I mentioned earlier before, Devontae Parker killed Stephon Gilmore with his jump ball ability and his downfield ability to get the ball, right? And you saw against Buffalo earlier in the year, John Brown absolutely smoked him down the field 3 or 4 times, one for a touchdown catch. And so you take a guy like DK Metcalf, who has the height and jump ball ability of a Devontae Parker, who's even faster than John Brown. He ran a 4.3 40. So that's a terrible combination for really any cornerback to cover. But I think Gilmore's going to struggle, especially with that down the field, with Russell Wilson being back there, as opposed to a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick passing to Devontae Parker. Going to be a bad game. I think Jay said earlier, it's going to be a smoke show. I really do think Russell Wilson puts up probably 35 points, 40 points. And Jarrett Stidham struggles a lot.
Covers only Metcalf? Because
I think it'll probably be like a situation where, like Josh Norman said on one side of the field during Washington, when he was in Washington, it was kind of like a separation, like see how they put their sets out. I think it'll be similar to that because they have a guy like Jonathan Jones who can keep up with Metcalf but doesn't have the height. We'll see a lot of different combinations of safety help over the top. We'll see Duggar involved in this game a lot because Duggar can play physical at the line, and I think you'll see him maybe chip Metcalf at the line because Metcalf lines up in the slot and outside depending on the formation they run. Definitely try to do a lot of chip and run. And definitely blitz heavy. They're going to have to press Russell Wilson because if they don't and they don't keep him contained in the pocket, it's going to be a long day for these guys.
The thing that you're looking for is everyone's going to be chalking this up as an L. You're going in there, you're kind of accepting it. If there's one thing you could take out of this game as a New England Patriot fan, you're just hoping Jarrett Stidham shows something that makes you feel comfortable for the rest of the year.
You know what I'm looking for in this game? I'm looking for poise. I'm looking for the ability to take heat. I'm looking for the ability to take criticism because it's going to be a tough game. I don't really think anybody expects it not to be a tough game. So if he can stay in there, not get rattled, even if he's losing, I'm going to take it as a W.
They have 5 quarterbacks that are mobile quarterbacks, and this is going to be your first one, and this is going to be your first test for the defense. So even if you lose this game, this is a good way to learn and then go forward for the rest of the season. Let's move on to week 3. The Patriots come back at home September 27th. They have the Vegas Raiders coming into town, 1:00 game. I have never been a fan of a West Coast team coming to the East Coast and playing a 1:00 game. I always pick against the West Coast team, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm a John Gruden grinder. I believe in his success in the future. I even picked the Raiders last year to go AFC title game. I'm in that Raiders. I like them, and I think they're going to eventually be something, and they're due for a come-up soon. The Pats are on a 5-game win streak against the Raiders dating back to 2005. I just think you're coming off a Sunday Night Football loss to Seattle. The Pats will bounce back, and they'll be at home. They get the W.
I think with the Raiders, again, their offense, they drafted speed with their 2 wide receivers they got. I think we'll be able to contain them. I do agree with Babs. It's always hard for a West Coast team to come over and play at 1:00 on the East Coast because that's like 11:00 their time. So that's going to be tough for him. But Gruden Belichick is going to be just offense versus defense. It's going to be very fun to watch. I think we get the win there, but who knows? Like we don't really know how the Raiders are going to look this year. I think the Raiders are either going to be a playoff team or they're going to be a 2-win team and looking for a quarterback next year. I really don't see them going in between. They're either going to be really good or really bad. So I think if we play our game in the way that we had when we had Brady, and we just manage the clock and keep the ball out of their hands because they've got Josh Jacobs, their running back, who with our young defense can pound his way through that. If we avoid that, we can get the win there, take the win away, and that's a win for the East Coast team, just like Bab said. And I think we move on to 2-1 there, or 3-0. Who knows if we beat Seattle.
So here's my thoughts about Vegas. I have 2 quick thoughts. One, I wish this was an away game because I want to go to Vegas and watch football. That just sounds like a hell of a weekend. Other than that, if this isn't a W, that sets up our season for trouble. If we can't beat the Raiders at home, I mean, there's talks about us, scraping into the playoffs and all that. But this game for me is going to be the one that says, are we a playoff team? Or are we looking for like an earlier pick? And obviously we're not going to tank for Trevor or anything like that.
But you could have said that. You could have said that 2 years ago when they lost to Detroit and it was a road game and that was week 3. And
very true. Very true. I mean, there's always those games on the season that, and that's the fun part about, the preseason, like, looking through the schedule is you have your automatic wins and you have your automatic losses. This is just one that I feel like we need to win. And, those games that, we lose and we have like the trap games that we lose the random games. We've always had Brady in December and January to kind of fall back on, and that doesn't exist anymore. So these are the games that, you get 8 home games a year, and that's it. And you got to take care of business at your house. And with a younger quarterback, if you're not taking care of business at home, like I said, we don't have Brady to kind of like pull us out from the muck anymore. But more importantly, man, I just wish this game was in Vegas. It'd be so much fun.
When it comes to the Raiders this year, the number one thing I'm looking for when it comes to defending them, Henry Ruggs. I mean, I think the surprise of the draft for me was that Ruggs went over guys like CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy at number 11, I believe, in that number 12, I believe, in that draft. Ruggs is the guy who takes the top off any defense. Me and Babs saw the 40-yard dash live, 2.27. I mean, this guy has burners. Wore cheetah cleats for a reason. This guy is an absolute beast. Going to be interesting to see how Belichick tries to cover that downfield. The key to the game is stopping Josh Jacobs, because if they can stay on offense long enough, get those third and short conversions every so often, and just keep the clock running against us, it's going to put the pressure on Jarrett Stidham and try to win the game. That's where we're going to have to find trouble here early in the season, especially where Stidham's kind of figuring out what kind of a quarterback he is in this league. Is he a game manager or is he a franchise quarterback? So it's going to be less about Sonny Michel this game, I think, because they're going to be controlling the ball for most of the game. It's going to be how Stidham responds. And I think that defense is weak enough where we won't have a problem with it. I think Stidham will have a decent enough game where we can win the game. I think it's a win in my book right now, but I'm tentative about that just because of how our defense responds to Josh Jacobs pounding us all game.
I'm going to go on Jay's point here and just say, if you lose this game, and you said this is going to, I interrupted you about going 1-2. Guess who you got week 4? You're going and traveling over to Kansas City. You got to play the defending Super Bowl champions at KC for a 425 matchup. So you want to make sure that you're at least 2-1 heading into this game. So if you know you're going to lose this game, you're going to be in 2-2. Obviously, me being who I am, I'm going to be picking the Patriots in this game because I think Stidham needs to get his statement win, and he gets it early on. Now, I don't expect him to ball out in this game. If anything, I see him throwing just 2 touchdowns and 275 yards, but he has a very clean game. Doesn't get touched that much, doesn't fumble the ball, doesn't turn it over. How are they going to win this game? It's the special teams in defense. This is the 4th time this defense will meet Pat Mahomes. And Pat Mahomes is a special player. He's growing strong every single year. He is something special for the NFL going forward. The defense needs to show up this game to show for the remainder of the season they are going to be a top 3 defense, especially being early on too. They should still have it. They should have something, and the chemistry should start building. The Chiefs and Patriots have had some history as of late since Reed has taken over. Since 2014, both teams sit at 3-3. In 4 of those games, out of the 6 games they played, the margin of victory was only 5.75 points. So you could expect a close one, but you could also expect a lot of points as well, too. The Pats haven't beaten the Chiefs by double digits since 2011. The Pats have to make their statement win, and they have to get their first road victory, and it'll be in KC. I'm picking the New England Patriots.
I'll remember that. I will be reminding you of this conversation.
I absolutely agree. I've circled this as a win regardless of how we do throughout the year, whether we're a 5-10 team or whatever. I think, like you said, Bill Belichick always has a plan for the Chiefs. It's always a close game when he's come up against Pat Mahomes, especially.
Besides 2014.
What was that?
Besides 2014.
Correct, but Pat Mahomes wasn't there. So since when
doesn't that make it worse though?
Yeah, they didn't have like the best player in football, so like whatever.
Oh, he's definitely a talent, absolutely. I just think you look at last year, that second half, he struggled against us. Belichick came out with a different plan. I really think it's going to be, if we're looking at Stidham as a game manager, and that's what I'm seeing him as in his first year. He's not going to be, all right, Stidham, here you go put 40 points up. I think he's going to be a game manager. I think the defense is going to control Pat Mahomes. They have so many weapons, but I think, if healthy by week 4, he gets a statement win, regardless of how we do in the previous games, because he needs it. He needs a game where he says, all right, I won that. And the other reason is too, everyone's right. This game, just like Seattle, everyone's got, we're losing that game. We're going to win one of them. And I think this is more likely than Seattle, just because of our history constantly playing the Chiefs. We always have a game plan set down for them and Pat Mahomes.
Here's my thing about this game. I love where it fell on the schedule. We got Seahawks away, and then the Raiders. And if you look at the Chiefs, they're kind of like a hybrid of the two. You got Mahomes and Wilson. Similar style quarterbacks kind of can escape a little bit, extend the plays, and make big plays out of plays that fall apart. And then you have the speed of the Raiders, wide receivers, and then Tyreek Hill and stuff like that. And then also, if there are fans, which we're assuming is going to happen, Stidham will have that game at Seattle, where he kind of gets the nerves out. And, this Chiefs game's 2 weeks later, and he's going to go into Kansas City. It's going to be another tough, loud crowd. But it won't be the first one that he's had to deal with. So I do think it's going to be an L for us on the schedule. But as far as if I had to pick a week on our schedule to throw that Chiefs game in to maybe pull out that miracle upset, this is where I would put on the schedule.
Yeah, having Seattle and Kansas City within 2 weeks of each other is tough for any team, no matter who you have at quarterback. Having a young guy like Stidham, it's going to be tough. I buy that Belichick believes in Stidham, that he believes he is the guy moving forward, not a game manager, but his next franchise quarterback. I do buy that. But for any first-year guy, it's going to be tough playing in both of those environments. Matt, when you say that you've been penciled in as a W for a while, regardless of how we do the rest of the season, I think you're nuts. I think that's absolutely insanity. And give respect to Belichick, because he does game plan well against everyone in the league, including Patrick Mahomes. As you said, he game planned well in the last part of that game in the second half. And granted, we should have won that game overall. If they actually refereed the game correctly and N'Keal Harry actually gets called in for a touchdown, then that's a W. But besides that, in Arrowhead, it's going to be a different environment. If there's fans, which I 100% believe there will be fans at least to start the year. As long as there's money to be made, the NFL will make that money. They'll have someone sign a waiver, and then you'll be allowed into the stadium. If it's a packed stadium, you go into Arrowhead. Stidham versus this Chiefs defense, who actually hit their stride towards the end of last year. I was dogging them all the end of the year, saying this is a terrible, terrible defense. And Tyrann Mathieu did not live up to his expectation. He actually paid that bill towards the end of the year and into the playoffs. So they're riding high, especially off a Super Bowl win. I don't really see a Super Bowl hangover for this Kansas City Chiefs offense or defense. I see them coming in strong again this year. I really do think it's a runaway game. But again, it comes back to Seattle and Kansas City being able to see Stidham's poise and composure in the face of adversity. If he's losing by 30, that's fine. It stinks. But if he gets rattled, we know we don't have our guy moving forward.
How
The other
Patriot
thing I like about this one is the time slot. It's not a Sunday night game. It's a 4:25 game. And I think that suits Stidham to not have the pressure of the whole nation or world is watching me play the Chiefs right now. And I think that will help him as well, which is another reason why I like the time slot. And like Jay said, it's week 4:25.
The whole nation's still watching him anyways. It's a CBS game at 4:25. That's going to be
Nah. I wish it was at 1 o'clock. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
1 o'clock on CBS or something. Give me a break.
I will say this. It would be very Patriot-like if there's no fans in the stadium and they play Seattle and then Kansas City, two tough places, and there's no fans and they get wins because it benefits the offense.
They'll start like the week after. They'll be like, no, stadium.
Let's start in October.
Yeah.
So you go from Kansas City, the Patriots come back home, week 5, October 11th. They play the Denver Broncos. I'm, again, the bias, West Coast, coming to the East Coast. It's a 1 o'clock game. Now, the run game, it tends to crush the Patriots. For example, Joe Mixon last year had 136 yards on 25 carries. He had a 5.4 yards per carry. Broncos have a dual threat with Lindsey and Melvin Gordon. I'm also excited to see what Jerry Jeudy can do, one of the top wide receivers in the draft. I just don't believe in Drew Lock yet. I think it's another guy that's young, just like a Stidham. There's someone that's young, and I just don't believe that he can do it on the road at Gillette Stadium. Denver could find lightning in a bottle, but I completely trust the Patriots to the defense to at least contain the run and put pressure on Lock. The Patriots have won their last 4 home games against Denver, with the last home loss dating back to 2006. This is a W for the Patriots.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate that Bab actually has his stats ready for once? This is amazing.
I got to try to hustle because I got to get out of here, too.
I'm proud.
We got to hustle as well, too, just as an FYI.
I have this down as an L. I really like the Broncos this year. And especially if you look back at I have us beating the Chiefs, and I think it's just a hangover the next week. Drew Lock, I believe in him. He was very good at Mizzou, and when they drafted him, I knew Joe Flacco wouldn't last. They have Noah Fant on offense, Jerry Jeudy, Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay, Sutton. the other wide receiver. They got weapons everywhere, and I believe that they'll win that game, regardless of West Coast travel, East Coast traveling to the West Coast traveling to the East Coast, whatever you Americans have. I believe they win that game, especially after.
They don't have East and West in Australia.
Yeah, I do, but I was getting confused because I said it too many times. I got the Broncos winning that game, and we're 3-2 now.
It's very simple. This is a W. We're gonna beat the brakes off them. Defense, they're a one-dimensional team. I don't give a fuck about Jerry Jeudy. We're gonna shut them down, and they're not gonna put up more than 14 points. See defense being huge. We're gonna get a defensive touchdown. We're gonna win by like 3 scores. Moving on. Next week, let's go.
Yeah, okay, because we're at home, I have us winning this game. If it's in Denver, I think it's a discussion to be had because I think the Patriots' number 2 place probably all time to play in terms of being it hard is Denver. We stink in Denver. It's been an absolute nightmare to play in Denver for the past 5 years for us, 6 years for us. So if it's in Denver, different story. I like Denver, like you said, Matt. I think Drew Lock takes a huge step this year with the amount of weapons they got. KJ Hamler's really another under the radar guy they drafted in the mid rounds, where he's going to make a huge impact on
Penn
this
State.
game. Yeah, Penn State. Shout out Tyler.
I didn't know they got him too. There you go. That adds to me calling them a win too.
Yeah, exactly. But I just think they get the win because it's in Foxborough. I think Stidham actually has some composure against this aging Denver defense, and I really do think they come out with a W here.
Week 6 is bye week. Now, it's never a good sign to have an early bye week. You want to have a later bye so the team can rest up and refocus for the playoff push. The last time the Patriots had an early bye like this was back in 2015. They had a week 4 bye. Injuries started piling up late in the season. And starting week 12, the Pats finished the regular season 2-4 and limped into that AFC title game against Denver and lost by 2 points. We're hoping that this week 6 bye, they can start resting up. They feel a little bit better. And it's actually important because then week 7, you have the San Francisco 49ers, the NFC champions, coming into Gillette Stadium. My fat gut right here, the beer belly gut, tells me that the 49ers are going to take a step back and have that Super Bowl hangover with a late season collapse. That I say the Niners do have a favorable schedule to start the season before they hit the tough stretch. They start with Arizona, New York Jets, New York Giants, Philadelphia, Miami, and LA Rams. At this point in week 7, the Niners have a legit shot of being 5-1 or 6-0 coming into New England. But my brain tells me that Bill Belichick knows exactly how to play against Jimmy G and Kyle Shanahan's style of offense. I would love to see this defense shut down the Niners and hold them down to 9 points. Stidham just has to play conservative game. That's it. Use your running backs a little bit more. Make no mistakes, and the Patriots can walk out with the victory in this game, and they will.
I agree. I think we win this game. I don't really like what San Francisco did with their draft. They let Emmanuel Sanders walk. So I think you're right. They fell off a cliff in that fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. The defense didn't really play well. And I think they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover. And Jimmy G, especially coming back to New England, again, Bill Belichick's going to want to prove something. And Kyle Shanahan being the guy that runs the plays there as their coach, I think, again, it suits us. And like you said, if I'm thinking this year is just going to be Stidham's just going to manage the game just like Brady did at the start of his career. I think we could come away with a win there too.
Here's my thing about this game when I look at it. If we're 2-3 or God forbid 1-4, how much talk is there going to be about Jimmy Garoppolo being on the other sideline and us having Stidham? It's all you're going to hear all week is we got the wrong guy. I don't want to hear it. So we better be at least 3-2 before coming to this game. I do agree with. I do agree. Yeah, we're going to hear all about it. But like, here's the thing: if we're 1-4, God forbid, who gets a louder ovation, Jimmy G or Stidham in Gillette?
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G. I was actually going to say this about the bye.
That's going to be a problem, and that will be a problem.
I was going to say this about the bye week, and I forgot to add it in my notes, was that if the Pats are 1-4 heading into that week 6 bye, that means that there's a lot of consideration for Tank for Trevor. You Tank for Trevor fans out there actually might get to start shouting out on the rooftops. Seriously, because that's a point where Belichick and the team might just start gutting everything out for the rest of the season and just lay it down. I know that Belichick wants to be competitive. And then you have that extra week heading into the 49ers game where you exactly pointed out Jimmy G getting cheered and everything like that. Pass it off to you, Stafford. Bring us home on this game.
Yeah. When it comes to this game, if we can stop the run game of the Niners, we actually might win this game. I have no problem saying that. I think the run game was the whole reason why they even got to the point they were at last year. The NFC Championship game, Garoppolo only attempted 8 passes. 8 passes. You're a professional NFL quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. I attempted more in my Pop Warner leagues. Like, it's just it's crazy to me. Looking at this
Nobody
game
throws
from
in Papa Warner.
Huh?
Nobody throws in Papa
When
Warner.
they had me, they did. No, but on a serious note, New England actually has the potential to win this game if they can control the clock and if they can play solid defense against Jimmy G. Jimmy G's prone to making mistakes. I don't care what you say to me. They run the ball a lot. It's set to just play action, and he hits kind of a safe downfield throw because they're always open because they're always stacking the box trying to stop Raheem Mostert. But I think a funny part about this thing is, like you highlighted, Jay, maybe Garoppolo starts to get more cheers instead of him if he starts to struggle in this game. Fun fact, I was on the Garoppolo train to trade Brady to San Francisco before this all went down. You can ask all my friends. When they inquired about Brady first, I said
You're
trade
talking about this
Brady.
offseason.
No, I'm saying back in 2016 when we traded Garoppolo before his contract expired.
You wanted to keep Garoppolo back then.
Yes, I wanted to keep Garoppolo
Okay,
back.
gotcha.
I wanted to trade Brady to San Francisco. I think we're going to start seeing the reason why this season. I think Garoppolo takes another big step here. But I do think the Patriots have the potential to win this game. I just don't think it's likely.
Week 8, it's the start of November. We're in November now. November football. Patriots are traveling up to Buffalo. I believe they're playing up in Buffalo that game. Yeah, because they're playing Buffalo later on at home. I have it wrong over here. It's a 1 o'clock game. Another team with a favorable schedule, the Buffalo Bills. They have the Jets, Miami, LA Rams, Las Vegas Raiders, Tennessee, Kansas City, New York Jets. Do not sleep on Buffalo this year. They're slowly building a winning culture up there. They made the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years. If they're allowed to have fans in that stands, it's another crazy atmosphere that you have to go into for a road game. Just taking last year as an example, myself, T-Guns, and a guy that I will not name on this podcast went up there. 3-0 versus 3-0, Bills versus Patriots, and that had a playoff atmosphere. I see the same thing here because both teams most likely heading into this game, depending on how you have it projected, if you have it based on my projections, both teams are fighting for the AFC East at that point right there. My eyes are going to be on Stephon Diggs versus Stephon Gilmore. Steve, I can't even say them both at the same time. Gilmore versus Diggs. I'm looking at this as Buffalo will get this win. It's kind of crazy because I was looking at it since taking over as head coach back in 2000. Bill Belichick's Patriots are 35-5 against Buffalo and are currently on a 7-game win streak. But the last 2 games, both in 2019, Buffalo only lost by 1 possession. The last time they lost by 1 possession was in 2015. So I'm going to be bold. I think Buffalo gets the W. I think they take the division lead here. Fans go nuts. But the L for the New England Patriots, it gets them as the bulletin board material. Hey, we still have something here. We'll continue going forward. We have to chase and gets them motivated for the rest of the season.
I got to say, I think this is another L for New England here. I mean, I like what Baltimore's doing up at Baltimore. I'm thinking weeks ahead. Buffalo. I like what Buffalo's doing up there. We got two division games in a row playing the Bills and the Jets. So I think this one is the one that we're going to drop. I think the Bills, if not New England, are going to win the AFC East this year. And I just think that, like Bab said, if there's that crowd there, it's just such a hard place to play with a first-year guy out there.
This is 2 decades of waiting for this moment for the Bills. This is just from their gut, their soul, their being. This is everything they've ever had, everything they've ever hated about us as fans is all going to just spill out onto the field. And this is a W for Buffalo. I mean, they're taking a step forward this year, and we're taking a step back, and they were a good team last year. I have them winning the AFC East, and I hate saying that, but this is a W for Buffalo.
I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach here. I think we beat Buffalo here.
Don't do that.
I think we beat Buffalo here. I think we lose to Buffalo later in the year, but we'll get to that later. I think Stidham actually takes McDermott and company by surprise here. I think he has a phenomenal game. I think this defense starts to respect Stidham in a way that they hadn't before the game. They get cocky. They have a couple early big wins in Buffalo, and then they start to come here, and then they realize how tough a game it's going to be. Stephon Diggs has the potential to bust completely in Buffalo. Not so much his fault. I think it's more because Josh Allen will overthrow him every other throw downfield, even though he has the rocket arm. He has no accuracy to go along with it. So no matter how long you can track the ball in there, it doesn't matter if it's not available for you when you finally get there. Buffalo is a great team. Winning culture has been built. I mean, McDermott, you can't say enough about the head coach there. McDermott has done a phenomenal job. I really do think it's going to start to translate into wins this year, but not at this point in the season.
Week 9, the New England Patriots head over to the MetLife Stadium. They play against the New York Jets Monday Night Football. This is Sam Darnold Sees the Ghost Part 2. Now, I actually like Sam Darnold. I think he's a respectable quarterback. Bad timing last year with his mono case. And by the time he ended up getting to the Patriots, I don't even think he was at 100%. Pat's coming off an L in my book to Buffalo, and having that extra day of rest will be beneficial for them. I just don't believe in the Jets at all. I don't think they're going to make any noise at all this season or even be close to a playoff race or a division race. This is a very sneaky good way to showcase Stidham on national television Monday Night Football, and I could see a big performance out of him. 4 touchdowns and over 375 yards. Let it rip, Stid. Pats are currently on an 8-game win streak against the Jets. New England has won their last 3 Monday Night Football games against the New York Jets by double digits in each game. Pats take the victory.
This is a home game, let's be honest. Anyone that's been to MetLife when the Patriots play in New York, it's a home game. There's more Patriot fans. I think it's a win. I don't think we need to go over much more. The Jets stink. They always will stink. And I think we win by fucking 21 points.
I'm just so excited I finally agree with Matt. I feel so bad. I disagree. But no, honestly, if I were to just project like the Patriots schedule and record for like the next couple of decades, we're never going to lose the Jets. Let's be honest. It's moving on. I don't even want to like give them the respect to talk about them.
Before I completely disrespect the entire organization here, I do want to say I believe in Sam Darnold. I'm on the Sam Darnold train. I think he has a lot of talent. They've put absolutely no weapons around him. They haven't even attempted to do that. They drafted Denzel Mims in the 2nd round this year. But there's a reason he fell. He was supposed to go in the late 1st round. There's a reason he fell into that 2nd round, into their laps in the 2nd round there. They finally put some offensive line protection around him, but it won't matter because our defense is still as solid as ever. We're going to win by 21 points, like Matt said.
We head into Week 10, back-to-back primetime games for the New England Patriots. They have the Baltimore Ravens coming in for Sunday Night Football. Is Lamar Jackson still the real deal? He toyed with the Patriots last year in Baltimore and officially killed off the Boogeymen. That night, the Boogeymen were done. Since John Harbaugh has taken over as head coach of the Ravens, New England leads this head-to-head matchup 6-4. The Ravens have a sour taste in their mouth after being embarrassed against the Titans last year in their playoff run. The Ravens did go 14-2, and I expect them to have that same record this year, and I expect Lamar to go back-to-back in MVP. The Pats defense will be up for the test this year, and I think they do hold their ground, but it's going to come down to a kick, and I think this is where kickers do matter, and it'll be Justin Tucker who ends up having that kick in a 3-point victory. I think that, it just should be a showcase where the Patriots do hold their own at Gillette Stadium, but the Ravens do walk out with the victory.
This is tricky. This is a very tricky game if you look at how we think we're going to go. This is why it's so hard to predict this season, because we really don't know what Stidham's going to be like and what this offense is even going to look like. I think if you look at history, Lamar's going to fall off a cliff. I don't think he does, though. I think he's a great athlete. Stafford knows that I'm big on him, as we talk about it in the group chat. I think he's going to take a step forward, but history just shows he's going to take a step back. I still think they beat us, regardless of how we're looking on the schedule throughout the start of that season. But man, it's going to be a tough game in Gillette. He didn't have to come to Gillette last year. They were riding hot. They were big, meet me outside the link, whatever. But they also added J.K. Dobbins, which I just think is ridiculous that he fell there with our pick, by the way, from Mohamed Sanu. That was our pick that they took him. So I think the Ravens are going to win if Lamar doesn't fall off a cliff, which I hope he doesn't.
So I know I live in Tampa now, but I lived in Baltimore for the last 10 years, so I may be a little biased about this game. And see if you can catch it, there may be some personal feelings that I put into this take. Lamar Jackson is going to suck next year. Not like suck, like he's going to be like a low 5 quarterback, but he's not going to be the MVP. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback next year. The league is going to catch up to him. Matt Gordon is absolutely right. These types of quarterbacks get figured out. They get figured out quick. We've seen this story before. We've seen Cam Newton. We've seen RG3. We've seen We've seen these guys come through. I sound like a racist right now, just naming black quarterbacks. But we've seen the Randall Cunninghams. But honestly, his game. We've seen it before, and it comes to the NFL. and it takes the world by storm, and he becomes the anointed one. And next thing you know, he's not trash. I'm being rude just because I have a lot of Baltimore Ravens fans, but he's not going to be even anywhere sniffing the discussion of MVP. That being said, they're still a better team than us, and I still think they pick up this W. But man, I was at the Baltimore game last year, and I could really use a W this year. So this is one I have circled on my schedule.
The X factor for the Patriots for me is not Stidham in this game. It's Kyle Duggar. And I'll tell you the reason why. This game is the reason why we drafted Kyle Duggar, to be the new age Patrick Chung, to be able to smack these guys in the mouth. I actually expect, and this is a bold prediction, it's going to be, I don't know how I'm going to enforce it here, but I think Kyle Duggar injures Lamar Jackson this game. I think he comes out with a hard nose, and he comes out and he hits him in the knee. I think he goes out. I think he goes out with a knee injury. If Lamar Jackson's out of the game, we win the game.
Well,
RG3 isn't that good at football anymore.
Sitting behind him. I still believe in RG3.
I like RG3 a lot, but I think he's obviously done, I think, in my view.
RG3 is what Lamar Jackson's going to be in 6 years.
2 years.
All right, guys, we got 7 more games left. We are up against time right now, big time. I have to hop on for another thing. We screwed this up early on. Let's try to keep this down to 30 seconds each one, try to fly through these rest of the games. Week 11, New England Patriots at the Houston Texans. Houston got the victory last year, but the Pats seemed like they roared back in that game. It was kind of a half-ass effort. I think this season is why didn't Houston move on from O'Brien? And they should have moved on from after last year. I think by week 11, this team's imploding. And I don't even think Watson wants to play with Houston anymore. We'll see what that happens. Before last year's matchup, the Patriots were on a 9-game win streak. And since 2003, when they started their head-to-head series, the Pats hold 11-2 record. I think last year was just a hiccup. The Patriots go on the road to Houston. They take care of business. They get the victory.
I think we dropped 2 in a row here. Two fast mobile quarterbacks. I don't think we can handle that 2 weeks in a row. I think we drop it double 2 games in a row. I don't believe we're going to the playoffs this year. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, I don't think we win this one.
If we're struggling, this is a rehearsal, not a dress rehearsal. What do you call it? A tryout for Deshaun Watson. He's going to try and put on a show for Belichick. I see us taking the W, but it'd be really interesting to see what's going on. And I would love to be inside Belichick's head if we're struggling and Deshaun just carves us up. But I don't see that happening.
We win this game because of Bill O'Brien's incompetent coaching and decision-making. And that's the only thing I'm going to say about it. Deshaun Watson actually might leave just because of how dumb Bill O'Brien is.
It's going to be interesting to see how that Houston team is by week 11. Week 12, Patriots back at home against Arizona. Fun fact, Tom Brady is 1-1 against Arizona in his career. Bill Belichick, without Tom Brady, with the New England Patriots, is 2-0 against Arizona. Matt Castle and Jimmy G both got victories over them. Very interested to see how this Cardinals team pans out by week 12. They have Kyler Murray, which he still has a lot to prove. They do have the ultimate weapon this year, DeAndre Hopkins. I'm a big fan of Max Williams, tight end. This will be a second year for Arizona. Also, shout out to Kenyon Drake. Came in halfway through the season. Kind of had a breakout year with Arizona. In his 8 games, he had 8 rushing touchdowns, 643 yards. Babs, you seem very high on Arizona coming in here. So they're probably gonna win the game, right? No. My bias every single time. West Coast coming to the East Coast playing 1 o'clock. I'm always gonna pick against that, and I'm picking the Patriots just because of that.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you again, Babs. I'm high on Arizona this year. I think they take a step forward, similar to how the Ravens did last year. No one expected it. This year, people kind of more expect it because of the pickups they've had this offseason. I think they win the NFC West if Seattle don't win it. It's always a tough division. So I see them going to the playoffs, and I see them beating us in New England.
This is a game I literally flipped a coin for. It all depends on Murray. If he makes strides in his game and he takes that second-year leap, it's going to be a tough game. If he does not, then I think we got this. You know, they do have a better wide receiver core this year, you know, with Hopkins coming over there. But, I mean, it's all like you said, Babs. West Coast, 1 o'clock on the East Coast. I 100% agree with you there. I think it's going to be a tough game.
Isabella returns to Boston too, the wide receiver from Boston College.
And Isabella, yeah. Speed demon. I love him. Kyler Murray is going to be a good quarterback in this league for a long time. Reason being is unlike Lamar Jackson, he knows when to run and when to slide, more importantly. He protects his body, and it's necessary behind this atrocious Arizona offensive line, which is the reason why we win this game in the first place. You can't play quarterback on your ass. No matter how you slice and dice it, no matter how mobile you are, you need to be able to stay in the pocket and throw the football. But he can't do that because his line is so subpar. They added Isaiah Simmons, and he's going to be a problem for us to game plan for offensively because you can put him so many different places on the defense. No matter where you want to put him, he can be a nightmare. We get the win just because of how bad this Cardinals offensive line is.
Heading into week 13, the Patriots are coming up with 3 straight road games. They start off against the Chargers on the road, the brand new SoFi Stadium in LA. Will the Chargers even be competitive this year? I've been saying it. They only get one shot per decade, and it already happened in 2018 when they came to New England. They got knocked the F out. I'm going to say this. I think Justin Herbert does have a respectable future for him, and I do expect him to be the starter by week 13. Bill Belichick loves to feast off of rookie quarterbacks, though. I will be interested to see Gilmore and Allen, and I think it'll be a fun one. I see the Pats defense shutting this down. New England's currently on a 5-game win streak against the Chargers and won 8 out of their last 9. They'll go in there and they'll take care of business and win this road game.
I agree. I think we win this one. I feel like we win the first game in LA. I don't really know what the Chargers are doing besides Herbert. I don't really understand. They let Melvin Gordon walk and signed Austin Eckler. I think Melvin Gordon's better. He just sat out, and that was questionable and probably
They
shouldn't.
didn't want the headache. They just didn't want the headache anymore.
Yeah, that's true. But, I think Joey Bosa on defense, they're going to give Stidham or is it Nick? I don't know which one plays there, but one of the Bosa brothers. I think he's going to give Stidham and our offensive line some problems. If they can contain him, I think we win comfortably. But if he's making Stidham move around the whole game, it's going to be a close one. But I do think we win that game. And I do think Tyrod Taylor doesn't last 4 weeks before Herbert steps up.
Yeah, I agree. Tyrod Taylor's not going to sniff the field this late into the season. I have this as an easy W, but a very pretty W, not because of what we do with the ball, but just the jerseys on the field, man. It's going to be a pretty game.
The aesthetic. That's all James focused
the
on.
aesthetic's going to be beautiful.
It's like a movie. Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, though, Matt, you couldn't be more right. This is Cleveland 2.0. I said that on my mock drafts when I had him taking Justin Herbert. Tyrod Taylor loses his spot by week 6 to a talented, highly ranked rookie gunning for his spot. I actually like Tyrod Taylor a lot. I think Anthony Lynn does believe in him as of right now. But as we've seen before, he just can't hack it when it comes to being a leader and being a true force of nature on the field at the same time. This Chargers defense has talent on all 3 levels. Derwin James, one of the most dynamic, versatile safeties in the NFL. I'd say most versatile players in the league, period, no matter what position. A guy like Joey Bosa, too, a game wrecker on the outside there. And a guy they drafted that we traded up for, or that they traded up for in our spot, Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma, the linebacker. He's going to be a problem, too, for us to game plan for. We win just because of the fact that Tyrod Taylor, if he's still in there, can't get the ball downfield. And if he's not in there, Justin Herbert's going to be prone to making mistakes, as you saw him in Oregon.
Week 14, 4 days later, the Patriots face the LA Rams Thursday Night Football. So I've been seeing the rumblings all over IG how the Rams are going to end up winning this game. Why? I just don't get it. First of all, the Patriots are playing the Chargers 4 days before that, and I expect them to take care of business to the point they'll even be resting players in the fourth quarter. Then you're doing absolutely no traveling. All you're doing is going right back to your hotel because you're playing in the same stadium 4 days later. Guess what? On the flip side, the Rams have to play a 4 p.m. game at Arizona that Sunday beforehand. And NFC West Division games are always played tough. It's a rematch of Super Bowl 53, but I don't even think it's exciting. Bill Belichick's Patriots are 6-1 against the Rams since he's been the head coach. The only loss coming back in the regular season of 2001. The Pats roll on Thursday Night Football and get those much-needed days off before they have their 3rd straight road game.
Theme that I've been going with is that we're not going to win a whole lot of games, and I don't think we're going to win back-to-back in LA. I just don't see it happening, especially with Aaron Donald. Like, the dude's unstoppable, and we're going to have to double team. I mean, Andrews is back, but does he last the season? If he doesn't, what do we do? What's our offensive line going to look like? And he's going to cause problems. He did in the Super Bowl. And unless if Sony Michel steps up again, then we could win the game. But I don't see us winning back-to-back in LA, and I just don't think we win that game, especially after they've probably come off a hard-fought win in Arizona, because I think they'll beat Arizona in Arizona. They always do. I think they're going to have some momentum rolling in.
So for these two games, I just want to give a shout out to Patriots Tailgate on Facebook, because the first thing I notice is these are home games for us. Patriots Nation is going to find a reason to spend a week in LA in the winter. All right, it's you get 2 games for one. You get 1 flight. You get 2 games. You get to stay in the same hotel. We're gonna win back to back. It's just gonna be loud, and it's gonna be loud for us again, assuming that there's fans. But if there weren't fans, I mean, it's not like their fans are gonna show up anyways.
I was about to say that the Chargers don't even have fans. They have like 8 fans.
Yeah. This is like Bab said, this is a rematch of the Super Bowl, but I don't even think about that because this is obviously not that same Super Bowl team. But I'm curious to see. It's one of those games where I think, hey, I know we did like the jersey swap, but if Cooper Kupp, if he balls out against us, those things, Belichick looks at those things, and we have a lot of cap room coming up, so just something to look out for that I'll be taking a look at.
Yeah, thanks for shouting me out there. Check out the Cooper Kupp post on Ride the Wave Media Instagram. Before I move any forward here, Jared Goff isn't good at anything specific. Can anybody tell me what Jared Goff is elite at? Anybody? Yeah, no, you can't because he's not good at anything.
Where like the ocean is or whatever that was.
Yeah, no. Jared Goff isn't elite at literally anything a quarterback does. Not elite arm strength, not elite accuracy, not elite footwork, not elite presence, not elite anything. That's the reason why he loses this game. You saw you saw it earlier in the year. Saw it in the Super Bowl. There's a reason they put 3 points up. McVay's system's been figured out, and there's a reason why. Is because Jared Goff limits the system because he can't do the things that McVay needs him to do to win the game. Now that Todd Gurley's gone too, they have a hole to fill at running back. They drafted a couple of kids. Do I think that fills that hole? Absolutely not. This is a Patriots W for me.
Jared Goff's good at getting a huge fat contract, $130
You know what?
million.
Shout out to his agent.
I mean, he's a quarterback in LA. He's still living a pretty good life.
Week 15, now Patriots have their 3rd straight. We're like 5-minute warning. Patriots have traveling to Miami Dolphins. Always a tough place for the New England Patriots to play in. The next 3 games here on the schedule get very tricky. It's all against the AFC East, and they will drop a game somewhere in the next 3. Now you have to remember, at this point of the season, there's only one team that gets a bye week because of the new NFL rules. So the second team, whoever's team number 2, does not get a bye week. The Pats, based on my predictions, only have 3 losses so far. They're going to be chasing the Ravens right now for the bye. Pats have struggled down in Miami, but I like this for storyline purposes. I believe in Stid the Kid, and I think he gets the W down in Miami, and it's one of those things that he just did something that Brady couldn't do. He actually was successful down in Miami. I'm going to put this as a W. And I'm going to say this as a disclaimer. They have a legitimate shot of losing this game. Just switch out my Week 17 pick because I'm putting them for a loss Week 17, which I'll explain in a second.
I think Tua's definitely starting by this point of the year, and I think he's going to blow the doors off us.
I mean, you thought he was starting Week 1, so.
I know, but I definitely think he's starting here. So I don't see us beating him. I really don't. I think Tua's special if he can stay healthy. I think you're looking at a more talented, and I love Russell Wilson, but a more talented Russell Wilson. So I think Miami wins this game. Their defense is loaded. Like Byron Jones, Xavier Haywood, like they added some nice pieces in Miami. Like Bab said, we just don't do well down there, and it's the end of the year. I don't see us winning this game.
So I'm going to tell you, I have us, and we're running short on time, so I have us going loss to the Dolphins and then winning the last 2 against the Bills and Jets. Here's why we're going to lose to the Dolphins in Miami. Because I live in Florida now, and I'm going to be going to Miami for that game, and I will be raging and getting drunk, and that's just what's going to happen. Because when I go to games, away games, and I get drunk, we lose. And that's just the luck I have. I was in Nashville, got drunk, we lost. And so I went to Baltimore, got drunk, and we lost. So I'm going to go to Miami. I'm going to get drunk, and we're going to lose. So this one is all on me. I apologize. What's that?
Maybe you should always go to games sober.
I don't even know how to do that. So what's the point of football if I'm not drinking some Bud Light?
I agree.
But anyways, it's Dolphins. It's a road game. It's going to be tough. I just have it as a loss, but it's mostly because it's my fault.
Jay, can you just pull a Danny Ainge for like one day?
What's that?
He's Mormon, doesn't drink.
Just not drink?
Yeah.
Nah, man.
Did you say he's Mormon?
Yeah, isn't he Mormon? Danny Ainge is Mormon.
That's interesting. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I asked his wife permission to go to the Grateful Dead concert in '86. There was like a whole thing on the '86 Celtics. Anyway, off topic here. Miami is always a tough game. Just a highlight section here. Byron Jones added. Kyle Van Noy added. Landon Roberts added. Already had Xavier Howard. Tua Tagovailoa is starting by this point. If Fitzpatrick is really struggling, they won the game just because it's in Miami, frankly. I really don't have anything else to break down here. I think Devontae Parker eats up Stephon Gilmore again, but this time in Miami instead of New England.
All right. I'm just going to take these last two games. It's week 16. They're playing against a home game, Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. Then week 17, you're against the Jets. What we're going to do here, just because of time constraints, wrap up the rest of the season and give us your overall record. I'll start first. So week 16, based on my predictions, Buffalo got the win earlier at their house. At this point in December, both of them are still fighting for the AFC East Division Championship. The last time Buffalo won the division was in 1995. You know how absurd that is? The Indianapolis Colts have won the AFC East more recently than the Buffalo Bills have. I still like Buffalo. They're a playoff team. I just think that this is the game that Stidham and this entire team, and this is their identity. They win this game and they head into the playoffs. This is the must-win game, and it's a memorable Monday Night Football game. You go to week 17, because week one, the number one seed already wrapped up their bye week. They can take a loss. This is their bye week. Week 17 will be a bye. It's a throwaway game whether you win or lose it. Overall, you take everything that we just said. I have the Patriots at 12-4 record. The 12-4 record's the Patriot way. It's their average. I think it's funny because all of a sudden the Pats have become an under 500 team because Tom Brady left. Yes, they're going to be very young on offense, but I feel like this season the offense fits better. Stidham has something with Myers and Harry already. Sanu is fully recovered and was brought in for Stidham. Edelman's a vet to help out the young guys adjust. You drafted two tight ends. You got Andrews coming back at center. You signed a fullback from Green Bay. You have Jacob Johnson coming back in the mix. You still have James White, Burkhead, Harrison, Michael. Great rotating back there. Take a step back for a second. Listen to those guys. Listen to that offense. That's not as bad as some of those other teams out there. And also, there's three phases to the game. People forget about special teams and defense. But, Babs, we lost key guys on defense. Who? Kyle Van Noy, Landon Roberts, Jamie Collins. Belichick got the max effort out of those guys with little money spent on them, and he's been doing
Special
that.
teams still dealing with a rookie kicker too, so that might lose us a game or two.
Been doing that for 20 years. These three leaving don't make the defense go down another peg. You have guys like Bentley and Winovich that want more playing time. They drafted Jennings and Uche. You still have Hightower there as a leader. You take a look at this backfield, McCourty, Gilmore, J.C. Jackson, Joe Juan Williams in the mix. And speaking of J.C. Jackson, he's a restricted free agent 2021. I fully expect him to ball out this year. He's going to get a huge payday. The vets coming back, plus the young guys, this is a rebuild year, but they're still going to be ultra competitive. No matter what, I think this team has chemistry. Doubt on them, they'll thrive off of it. 12-4 record for New England Patriots.
I think we win these last two games and we finish, in my predictions, 8-8. 500. That's it. I hope we're 12-4, but I really do think that we're just going to have it's going to be a tester year, and then we're going to go into 2021 with a huge cap. We're going to know how Stidham is, and we're going to work his strengths and adjust. I do think our offense is going to be a little better than people expect, and our defense, I don't see our defense dropping off. I still think that's an elite defense. I don't care that we lost, like Bab said, that we lost Van Noy and Landon Roberts. He played fullback. He wasn't a linebacker. He played fucking fullback, everyone. Let's, reel that in. Winovich is going to be the next guy on our defense. There's a reason why they sell his jerseys. So I tell
you what, I have us at 10-6 if I did my math right. And if you told me delete Tom Brady from your team and you still go 10-6, I'm ecstatic. We went 11-5 with that last time we were without Tom Brady, and we had a much, much better team in 2008 than we have this year. We had two Hall of Fame wide receivers for Castle to throw to that obviously we don't have now. So 10-6, I mean, I'd pay money for that. I'll take that all day, every day with this team. I have us playing a wild card game, and who knows what happens come playoffs. I don't see us, we're not going to be in the AFC Championship or Super Bowl or anything like that, but it's going to be a real fun season. It's going to be a different season, one that we haven't experienced in quite some time, and some of the younger fans of Ride the Wave have never experienced, a season without Tom Brady. So take it from the old guy of the group. It's It's different, y'all. It's different. It's a lot different. There's a lot of times when, we're losing, by 14 points and we're like, we're good. Got Tom. We're fine. That's not an everyday thing. That's not something to get accustomed to. So it's going to be a fun season. It's going to be a different season. It's going to be a lot of growing pains for the team and for the fans of the team. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be lots to talk about. I'm excited for it.
Being a 2000 baby, I have never known a Patriots team without Tom Brady. Going to this new era of football, I'm excited more than anything. I'm not as nervous as I thought I was going to be, just because of all the reports of how much Belichick trusted him. And no matter how you slice and dice it, Belichick is a large reason why we've been 6-time champions. If you think it's a players' league, you know what? You're right. Belichick doesn't play on the field. But Belichick's the reason why we have such a good defense, why we have such a good environment, such a good culture. He is the proctor of how we've fostered this environment over the past 20 years.
Real quick, Stafford, just not to interrupt you, even though I just obviously did. One thing that hasn't been mentioned is last time we didn't have Tom Brady, we were 3-1.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And even before that, 11-5 in 2008. So I really don't think – I think people are overreacting to the point where they're like, oh, Tom Brady's gone. Well, Tom Brady's also 43 years old and going to Tampa Bay with a whole new system. So we'll even see if that's even successful. I think this year we're a wild card team. I don't think that's a bad thing. Patriots fans are going to be like, oh, hey, well, we're not number 1 seed or we're not number 2 seed or anything. You know what? Be happy that we made the playoffs in the first place at all. We go into free agency with some of the best cap room in the league, and we make a huge impact the next year.
9-7, even 9-7's a win. Like, that's a win for this team. If you can go above 500 and be 9-7 with Stidham there, that's a win, because 9-7's a playoff team as long as they get in the playoffs. And now Patriots fans should be accepting it isn't Super Bowl or bust. It's, hey, let's make the playoffs and see what happens. We have to start back over in that mindset.
The whole different mindset from here on out for Pat
Stafford. Question for you. Do you think that this offense this upcoming year will be better than last year's offense?
I think, as I said before, because I think Stidham going into the offense as the leader makes it better for N'Keal Harry and Jacoby Myers, because they're going to start to dumb down the system, less routes for them to remember, less reads at the line of scrimmage. So I think it'll be more productive. You'll start to see more flashy plays and more touchdowns for some of those younger guys. At the same time, I don't think Sony Michel is that good of a running back. And having a guy like Stidham come in his first real year of playing without a solid running game behind him is going to be tough. I think it's going to be great for the pass game, but not great for the run game.
Real quick, let's go around the table. Who are your Super Bowl matchups? I've already said Seattle Seahawks. I think they play the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens, Seahawks. We'll toss it over to Matt Gordon.
Seattle and the Chiefs. I want Seattle to win. But I think the NFC title game has Tampa in it. But I think Tom Brady loses to Russell Wilson.
I have also Seattle versus the Ravens, as much as that pains me to say. But I have Seattle as our Super Bowl champions in my city.
Matt, I like that. Give me Seattle and Kansas City. Russell Wilson deserves to be a 2-time champion. I think he earns it this year. I think he puts the team in his back like he has the past 5 years. I think he finally pays off.
If they stay healthy, that's Seattle's problem.
It's kind of crazy how all 4 of us can agree that Seattle's going to be that team out of the NFC.
That just means Seattle has no chance of making this.
Because, like, the last couple of years, it's like, oh, it's going to be the Saints. Like, the Saints are overdue.
Saints,
Drew Brees is overdue. And then after last year, like, it's over with. And you kind of sleep on them.
I'm sorry. That's always been like an overreacted point on my view. It's like when Ted Ginn Jr. is your number 2 receiver, there's some problems on the offense.
I agree. I don't think it's too much.
And lastly, some news. Booger McFarland out of Monday Night Football. He will no longer be with them. So that's pretty good for the Monday Night Football crew. Any last thoughts for you guys? Open forum real quick.
Rip Booger.
Did you guys take a look at the Tampa Bay schedule at all?
Yeah, I did. I looked at it. I think it's cool that they let us have up until week 15 to watch Tom Brady. I think that's nice of them. Definitely. If you're one of those people that doesn't respect the fact that he basically gave his life to New England for 20 years and you don't want to watch him play, go fuck yourself.
That's it. Simple put. That's episode 55, Boston's Big Three, presented by Ride the Wave Media. That's the Patriots schedule. We ran out of time today. Check us out, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. We appreciate it. Check out Are You Smarter Than Ride the Wave Media game show going on. I'm rooting for Team Goat Milk, by the way. I'm rooting for you guys. Let's get it. Take care, guys.